Good evening and welcome back to SDN Tier 1. And after a fast and frantic race in Brazil last week, the championship is pretty much over as Kevin Zumberg will win the championship after this race as we arrive to one of the most iconic circuits in all motorsports, Suzuka, for the Japanese Grand Prix. And Brazil gave us another dominant display from Kevin. He took pole position with a 7.1 and converted it into another victory. Five produced one of his best drives of the season and climbing from P5 to finish second and claiming drive of the day as well, while Lucas finished in P3, with Christie came in fourth place and just Hood completed the top five. It was also an important result for Kevin in P7, P7, as he's in a close championship fight with himself, Fireblaze and Lucas as well. So it's a team battle going on at the Williams camp. But we've got some cars now making their way out of the garages and we'll see who produces their first flying laps. Looks like Leonard in the Red Bull is currently on the flying lap, also on the track, on an out lap around here, in one of the most iconic places on the calendar. As of course, this season in F1 itself, Max Verstappen took the victory ahead of both McLaren drivers and produced a very strong race to keep them both at bay and at arm's length and never allowed them both to either even overtake them, even with strategy, despite 2 against 1. But let's see what Leonard does. Leonard has struggled this season. He's been a midfielder. Still think Belgium was pretty much his best race of the season, but other than that, he has been pretty much quiet in the races and towards the lower end of the top 10 as well. So still got a lot to improve. Has Leonard in the Red Bull, and he makes his way now towards the Casio Triangle chicane. Now with the throttle down, DRS wide open. Let's see what Leonard could do as he makes his way down towards turn 1. Of course, a famous place, turn 1. We saw Jack Dewey crash here. This year, it seems like a long time ago, doesn't it, since Jack Dewey was in F1, but still this year, as we swoop through turn 2 and turn 3, just carrying the speed, getting a good feel for the car as well, just looking to see where the limit is, as you can see there, lifting off as well on the throttle, as he cranks a lot of steering as now we make our way towards Dunlop, this fast left-hander, making our way now towards the first and the second Degner. I think he just lifted off in the first Degner and then flicking in towards the second. This can be a very tricky corner as well. It's so easy to mess up and lose a lot of time there as well. It's very easy to get on the curb on the outside and endure a massive wheel spin and spin the car as he makes his way now out of the hairpin we go. Very critical as well to get the hairpin absolutely spot on as you need the momentum and the run all the way down towards Spoon Curve, as we've seen plenty of overtakes happen here before in the past, as we've seen Max Verstappen and I think it was Sebastian Vettel back in 2018 when they both collided through there, as we head now towards the 130, a iconic corner as it's flat out through there, but do scrub off a lot of speed. Just to make sure you don't take too much steering input as well, because it's very easy to bog down the speed. As now we exit the final few corners we go, as we make our way towards line, it's going to be a 26.8 for Leonard, and that is a decent lap time to be fair to him. He has kept it relatively clean. I still think there's a lot more to improve, but bearing in mind it is the first lap time, so we don't expect fireworks immediately on the first laps. He finished P7 at the Austrian Grand Prix, did Lennon. Last time he was inside the top 10 was the Red Bull driver. As we got Fireblaze, the man fighting with both Williams in the Drivers' Championship as well, so keep an eye and see what happens there. He's currently P4, and he's 32 points behind, and Lucas has had the better of his teammate. Lucas isn't here, neither is Kick, so Fireblaze has a chance to get himself more points and bring that gap down between himself and his rivals. More lap times on the board, but not really representative, not really what we're looking for so far, as we see the Red Bull and Leonard go off the track there. As we've got Fireblaze diving down in towards the hairpin as he swoops the car back up, back in the throttle we go. Mels Mackey is up into P2 with a 27.111. Sheepy Gamer just behind in P3, 210 drift from the Racing Bull driver, as Fireblaze now heads towards Spoon Curve and seems like he got a very decent extra D. Look at that. The car, from our perspective, maybe not Fireblaze, looks like he's on rails so far, but that's not always the case as a driver, because as you can see, the driver will feel a lot more movement than what we see on the TV screens, etc. They know when the car is about to step out, they know when the car is struggling for grip. But Fireblaze out of the final corner, he goes towards line. It's a provisional pole with a 26.850 and 2600 quicker than Leonard in P2. So similar lap times there, both clean. But of course, these are the early stages qualified. So there are your first lap times on the board, set by Fireblaze in first place. Daniela has got a bit of traffic in front of him. He may be a bit frustrated, but the Aston Martin dives off there as he takes a lot of curve on the inside as he makes his way now towards the line. Let's see what Daniela can produce in the Haas. Is currently P5 with a 27.611. Happy Meal behind goes up into P5, and that is a much better lap time there for the Mercedes driver, who's still on the hunt for his first podium since the British GP earlier this season, as he has been unlucky in the last few races, especially the Dutch GP, where he spun out in the first corner, or second corner should I say, and chucked away the win. He was very strong in the British GP, but has had a few misfortunes in the past few races. So let's see if he turns this around and could try and make a different approach. TVHNL, another driver who seems to be outstanding in terms of consistency. Yes, he doesn't really get up to the top of the field, but you can rely and trust him to finish races and get himself inside the top 10, because he may be a bad qualifier. Admittedly, he may be struggling in qualifying quite a lot this season, judging by his results, but at the same time, though, he does put an effort in and tries his absolute best to try and finish races as much as he can to get some points for Mercedes as he heads down in towards the hairpin we go. As Happy Meal confirms that was a bad lap, so plenty to improve there. He's done 2 laps on those set of soft compound tyres. We didn't quite see the lap as we were on board with, I think, Danielle at the time, but he did beat him by almost a tenth of a second. In fact, beat him by 999 hundredths, I think it was, if my mathematics are correct. TVHNL powering his way now towards the end of this middle sector. Let's see what he could do. It's going to be a 10.7, and I think the lower 10s, the high 9s is where specifically you want to be aiming for to produce that lap time you need. As he now clatters the curb going in towards the Castro Triangle chicane, as my voice starts to go a little bit, as he now makes his way towards the line. It's going to be a 28.4. So my voice is going right now, which is not a good sign. So Damon heads back in the pit lane. Who's that Red Bull? I think it's Leonard who's headed back in the pit lane, and so is Hazard Cass. So both Red Bull drivers have become a bit of a blunder on their fly laps. On board with Fireblaze, who currently occupies pole position as he dives in towards turn 1 full speed, then gradually getting slower in towards turn 2 on the throttle, using all the curve on the outside, maximising every single part of the track you can. And look at that, just trying to just be smooth on the throttle, and also try and take the line out of curve as well. Because down to 4th gear, which is quite unusual too, for good measure. We don't really see many people diving down into 4th gear, but looks like he had too much speed in the corner, tried to rotate the car, and look, 2,000s up in the middle set, in the first sector. So still a lot of times to be found there for Fireblaze as we head down towards the hairpin now for him. Hard on the brakes, down to the gears, flip the car in and let the car rotate, then back to the throttle as soon as the car is straightened up. Now trying to take the tightest line through here as well to minimise the distance before we head down in towards Spoon Curve. And this Spoon Curve is very punishing indeed, especially on the right front tyre. He misses the apex a little bit, compromised a little bit and lost a little bit of time as well for good measure, but hopefully not affected him too much as he makes his way down towards the end of the centre, up by 44 hundredths of a second. So let's see if Fireblaze can continue finding more time in the final few corners we go. Clipping the apex is really nice to take a lot of curve too, but the back of the car just wiggling away a bit at the rear as he makes his way towards the line. It is not an improvement for Fireblaze. He did not improve, but behind him, Happy Meal does, as he takes pole with a 26.656 by 0.2 of a second. So it looks like Fireblaze then has a contender with him as he wants to take... Sorry about that, my mic is in a twist. I don't know if you can hear or not, but just in case if you can hear this, I've got my wires in a twist. So just bear with me for a second whilst I get untangled. There we go, I'm untangled now, so hopefully there's no more noises. If you did hear any noises, just in case I didn't want to keep talking. But Sheepy Gamer is up at a P5, massive rival between himself and Happy Meal there in first place. And Happy Meal will be very happy as well, because he said his banker was usually a 26.8, but he's found 0.2 of a second there. And let's see if we can try and maintain pole position. I do believe Fireblaze got more in the tank, but he just can't seem to deliver it so far. He's making slight mistakes, especially in the first sector and in the final couple of corners. I think his laps... Oh, Shiba Gamer just got a bit too happy on the throttle there and spun the car around. Don't want to do a Carlos Sainz when he spun the car there in 2015 and broke his whole front wing. He spun the car too in 2022, if you remember that year when it was pouring down with rain. He's taking the old line through there. I don't think we've ever used that line, to be honest with you. I do believe Miles Marcus is on a flyer so far, but as you can see there, tangled up in the second Degner when the car just moved slightly as he was on the asphalt on the outside there, tried to get as much lap time as he can as the Racing Bull driver now heads down towards Spoon Curve. Let's see what he could do. He's currently best is a 27.111 and he can't. He's in 4th place and ahead of Sheepy Gamer, and he was getting so close as well towards the other outskirts of the racing track. Coming towards the end of the middle sector now. Is it up or down? Oh, look at that. 0.3 up in this middle sector there for Miles Mackis as his battery has been depleted. He's used all of it as we head down in towards the chicane. We go a little bit, I'd say a late apex through there, I dare say. But here comes Miles Mackis towards the line. It's going to be P2 and just ahead of Fireblaze. Look at the gaps. It's just fractional. Fractions of a second separated second to 4th. So it is ultra tight going in towards 2nd and 4th place. And Happy Meal has got a 0.2 margin to be happy about as well, as the two Haas drivers are currently on the circuit. So Papa J, which is Colin, in P8, and Daniela is P6 in the Haas on his outlap, as Colin is attempted in the first sector, headed down towards the second Degner. It is very difficult indeed because you carry a lot of speed in the first Degner, then immediately on the brakes in towards the second Degner. But scoops the car nicely. Very important to get rotation there because you can be a bit too greedy on the outside, on the exit. So you can be very careful how... it is quite difficult. Like, you're trying to push as hard as you can as into Spoon he goes. Takes 3rd gear, and that's not really the smoothest exit he needed. Was a bit off the radar a little bit on that corner. He's still found time though in the middle sector, has Collins, so may have put himself up into P7 potentially. Those guys are in the 28s. So his closest rival is going to be TVH as Colin makes his way towards the line. He goes, it's a 28.1, so found 4/10 of a second, and he's behind Daniela Totta in P6 as we've got the contenders making their way out of the pit lane. So Leonard in P3 looking comfortable, looking very comfortable, but his teammate Khatikas isn't. Down in P12, we've seen a couple of mistakes here, and I don't think this is a favourite track for Khatikas. Mr. Jens does struggle around this circuit. Who we're looking for then? So we've got the Haasman on the flying lap, which is Daniela, as his teammates just done one behind him, going through the first sector right now. Constant change of direction. It's very important to get bearings right in this one. Super important as well, not to go out wide and misjudge it as well, as he takes a very wide approach going in towards Dunlop, maybe distracted by the driver behind us, which was Mercedes, but Daniela attempt up, goes wide and and he actually crashes there too. He crashes there in frustration, understandably, trying to take it in as fast as he can, but unfortunately too much on the exit, and therefore has crashed out. Miles Makis has retired as he was about to exit the pit lane. So did he call it a bit too late? Was it a bit too late to head to the pit lane? I'm not quite sure. So I think he left it a bit too late there. Whether he was coming out or not, I'm not quite sure. But wants to watch out for Fireblaze. There is a bit of a traffic jam going in towards the final few corners. Should be a traffic jam around here, especially with the low attendance. Traffic shouldn't be an issue around here. Those yellow flags are super annoying because I don't know what the time is, and I'm not quite sure how much time left it was before Miles Makis headed on the pit lane for his final run, but realised he couldn't because he had no time left. So here comes Fireblaze then as he opens up the DRS. Leonard is ahead of us, so we'll go on board with this man first, and let's see how he performs in this first set. So not too bad attempt there, and he regrets a bit too wide, but gets away with it. So lucky escape there for Leonard. Gives himself a second chance as he heads down towards the hairpin. Look at that, the car rotated very nicely. As I say that, hits the wall on the exit and loses traction. I think he did a Carlos Sainz type shit there as well, back in 2015. As Fireblaze up by 300 a second in towards the first and second deck that he goes in towards fourth, leads on the curb on the outside there as he heads down towards the hairpin. Very important to slow the car down, get the nose pointed in, get the rotation on the throttle immediately, and in comparison towards the last lap, it seems a lot more smoother. And let's see how this puts the effect on this final lap. Hopefully no Red Bull in the way, which it doesn't do. Very important as well for smooth curves to get a good rhythm in, get the nose pointed in and on the exit as well. So we'll see how he does in this sector for Fireblaze. Is this an improvement for the Ferrari driver? It is a tenth and a bit up, but I don't think it's enough to take away pole position from Hapmil as he heads down in towards the final two corners. Remember, he had a little bit of a moment on the exit of the corner, but seems very smooth so far on the throttle. Let's see if Fireblaze can take pole. No, he can't. He misses out by a few hundredths of a second as Hapmil goes quicker with a 26.593. Leonard in P4 and Sheepy Gamer with a 26.888 in the Williams there as well, as the last one to cross the line is going to be a McLaren driver. Let's see how he does. Damon makes his way towards the line. He goes up into P8, it says on his steering wheel. Happy Bill is back on top, but the question is though, can he control it? Can he finally turn it into a race win this season? Is this his race to win, or is this going to be another flop or blunder? Going to be an interesting race to call and commentate for this one, because Happy Meal has had pace, but in terms of consistency, in terms of keeping it nice and clean, I don't think. And let's see if he can bring this one home. So Happy Meal does take pole position ahead of Fireblaze. It's going to be an interesting run down in towards turn 1. And we're seeing plenty of crashes going in towards turn 1 as well. Prone for carnage, prone for chaos, and we'll see if it delivers. And we're underway for the Japanese Grand Prix, and the Ferrari gets a decent start. He's alongside the Mercedes. He takes the lead as we head down in towards turn 1. Fireblaze is in the lead, but Happy Meal looking to a switch back, but the door is closed as Fireblaze there defends in turn 2 and he repents the attack. But here comes Mel's looking to go to the inside into turn 3. Not a wise decision to do, but luckily he backs off. And in the background, McLaren has spun, and he gets tagged by Mercedes, and the Haas gets involved too, and the Kickstarter for good measure. The Aston Martin just drives off the road there, making you going off into towards the gravel, as we see the Kickstarter going side by side there with the Haas man as well. So a bit of a hectic start, but Fireblaze, what an amazing launch off the line to get himself up into first place ahead of Happy Meal, and Happy Meal was under immediate pressure from the Racing Bull right behind. So as we head down towards the hairpin for the first time in this race then with heavy fuel. And Milan has joined the session. I'm not quite sure if he's in the party or not, but luckily he is here. Oh, you are here. Hello, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you very much. Sorry for being a little bit late, later, but it's good to be back. I feel like it's been a while since we last on the race. I'm just loading in to the screen right now, but it sounds like it's been an exciting start to the race so far.
Yeah, it's been a decisive one so far, as Kevin Zumberg is not here, which means somebody else can potentially get a victory as well this season. And Kick is not here, neither is Lucas, so both Williams drivers are not here tonight. So that gives Fireblaze a big chance in the Drivers' Championship to bring that gap down towards the Williams, who has been fighting him. And Fireblaze has had good results, but the Williams drivers have the better of him so far. So DRS is enabled on this lap, which is going to be very important with the DRS trades as we head through turn 1 and turn 2. Every time they swoop through turn 1, it looks like they're about to go off the circuit as well, because you take a wide entrance going in towards turn 1. I remember as well in the last few games where you had to take turn 1, like not to cut the corner, but take the acute line going towards turn 1, then open it up. But some people go in the middle, as Muminik has spun. Muminik has spun in the background there in the kick south, but that's down in towards the S's as the McLaren swoops around the outside, takes away P11. So unfortunate for Muminik there as well. Big chance to score points for Muminik, as there's only 12 drives in this race there. So apologies about the attendance. I know it was better last week, but I was ill. I could barely speak, and I did stream it, and I actually was commentating too. But for some reason, my mic didn't share the audio, which really annoyed me, because it was a really good commentary I gave, despite having a sore throat, and I still do so far. But anything for SDN. Khatakas is 1 second away. He's on the hardcore part tyres, so looking to go for a more durable stint, while his teammate there in the background goes off the track as well. And the exit on Spoon Curve for good measure as the drivers head down towards the back straight in towards 130R. And can be interesting aspects in this race then, to see how this race goes with the top 2 controlling. Can Mels Mackis do anything in third place, try and get himself up the order? Because DRS trains is the main knob around here. It is so difficult to overtake in a DRS train. You're forcing drives to overtake each other with the battery of the DRS as well. As here comes Happy Meal in the DRS in the slipstream, and I dare say he's about to take the lead of the Grand Prix, which he is. Goes side by side with Fireblaze as he takes the lead. A bit of contact too for good measure, but luckily enough, not harmful.
A good move indeed. So the Mercedes now in the lead of this race. They're looking for that first win, and it's looking good for him so far. But he's got a nice train forming behind him, all the way down to the GP Gamer P5. Geitegas is just a bit further behind. He's on the hards though, and he's the first one on the hards. Record P11 also on the hards. Muminik builds into the pit lane right now. Not sure if he replaced that front wing, but he's going to the soft. So definitely has to make at least one more stop at some point in this race. But not the ideal start there for the Kicksauber driver. But only 2 retirements and he's back in the points, so you never know. So he is going to continue on, but Happy Meal now building a gap already towards Fireblaze. A little bit there as the Ferrari driver seems to be struggling here on lap 3. 8.5 tenths behind the Mercedes, but as long as he just stays within that 1 second window, he should be fine for this first stint at least. And then it's about who is going to take the undercut, who's going to pit early to try and retain track position, which is very important around this track, because it's quite difficult to overtake with just one DRS zone, which is also quite short when you compare it to other tracks on the calendar. But Happy Meal now building a little bit of a gap, but not by too much, as Fireblaze having some little bit of clean air on his tires as well. I don't want to push too much very early on in this race as they come out of the final chicane to go on to lap 4 with the Mercedes in the lead. Then Fireblaze, Mels Makkers in P3, having another fast lap of the race, 1:30.0. Now let's see if he can continue to build that gap, or if Fireblaze is going to stay close. But Fireblaze has used quite a bit of batteries. Geitengas has been overtaken there by Daniele in the Haas. The Red Bull driver drops down another position to P7. With Geitengas on the hard, so he will lose out a little bit in the early stages of this race, but he should be able to come back later on when he is on the mediums, everyone else is on the hards.
I don't know if you remember this, but last season we had a spectacular battle between Geitengas and Eastbound, and I don't know if you remember this, on the last lap I think one of them was literally forced against the wall. Half-build almost dropped at the exit of the second deck there. He was trying to build a gap. He's desperately trying to get himself out of DRS range, and if he could do that, the better for his race to get himself out of DRS range and pull away from the guys behind as well, and not be stuck there whilst the other fire players have to defend from Mels Makkers and Leonard. But I do recall something happening between Eastbrand and maybe Geitengas. It's like a faded memory. It's very vague, but I'm not quite sure if it was actually those two. No, I know Eastbrand was involved because I think that Eastbrand drove very smartly on the last lap. It was him versus Geitengas, and Geitengas had the inside line, and Eastbrand had the outside line. They went in towards turn 1, then Eastbrand just dived into the inside, did the switchback move. It was lovely. Do you remember that?
That was a great move indeed, and certainly hope we see some great action in this race as well. So Happy Meal with a very tight line out of the final corner, trying to break the slipstream. The gap's now 0.8 of a second, but Fireblaze with the DRS is closing back to around half a second. So that mistake on the previous lap might have cost him a little bit, and now he's run wide a little bit as well through turn 1. So these little mistakes left and right are costing him the time he needs to build a gap of over 1 second. And Fireblaze at the moment is doing just enough to stay within DRS range, so as Mels and Leonard and Sheepy Gamer is still there, and Daniele in P5 a full 2 seconds behind as the fight is going on there for P10, with Luke losing out of position in the McLaren down in P11. Let's see if Happy Meal makes it better out of this corner. It seems like it. Now the gap's 0.8 of a second again, and that is Sheepy Gamer getting past Leonard, and it must have been because Leonard had made a mistake there out of the second deck there. Must have run out wide and maybe potentially even into the gravel. So the Red Bull drops a position. The Williams goes through, but now the gap between Mels and Sheepy Gamer is 1.5 seconds. So the Williams dropped outside of the DRS range, which is going to be difficult to get back into. And he now runs out wide for Spoon as well, losing a couple of more tenths in the process. So maybe it is going to be fixed towards a 3-way fight rather than a 5-way fight we had early on. Even so, Daniele now within DRS range of those two just ahead, but the top 3 have broken free from the rest of the field here at the end of lap 5, as Fireblaze coming there out of the final corner, still within DRS range, and will close up a few tenths of a second again as we go on to lap 7. Neither of the top 2 having any DRS in the battery. Mels Makkers doesn't have either, so they're all pushing quite a bit each other to get those positions. And she became now 2 seconds behind in P4, with Leonard just in P5 there after the little mistake he did on the previous lap through the second decker.
I do remember now, it wasn't Geitengas, sorry, it was ETA Lawrence who did the move. It was Eastbound versus ETA Lawrence for the lead of the Grand Prix at Japan last season. I know you don't remember, like, because you completely ignored me on that one, but yeah, it was a great move, a great fight. He did. They went side by side to the first sector, but like you said, now it's a 3-way fight, but 5 players just seeming to lose touch there towards Happy Meal. Happy Meal's got some blistering pace, but like you said, he's making mistakes, a few mistakes as well every time he pushes away. So is he pushing the tires a bit too hard at this stage of the Grand Prix? His Fireblaze suffering in the dirtier, hence why he's struggling to try and get that gap down to under a second. Well, the gap's 7 tenths, but it's been around 7 or 8 tenths as well. So Fireblaze seems to be struggling in the first few sectors of this racetrack. But keeping in contention, it's a 3-way fight between Mels Makkers, Fireblaze, and Happy Meal. Happy Meal hasn't won a race yet. I don't think Fireblaze has won a race yet this season either. Mels Makkers has came close, but I don't think he's tasted the glory so far here in SDN. So these 3 have got something to prove and looking for their first win since, a long time ago, especially for Fireblaze. The DRS then is open. Fireblaze, a former 2-time champion here in SDN, and this season hasn't really had much of a chance to win the championship due to a string of bad luck and bad races. He's like, this season has been competitive, but at the same time, now hasn't really had the pace to shine. As Sheepy Gamer, though, unfortunately, is outside the DRS range. Shout out to him, though, because he was a Division 2 driver last season in contention with Happy Meal for the championship. And I think Happy Meal just beat him on that occasion too, but he's 3 seconds behind, and Leonard is P5 too. So Leonard must be frustrated, as we've got a spinner in the background, and that could be a safety. I was hoping for no safety car in this race because I wanted a fast race, really, because I know it's low attendance. It's about 11 people now, low attendance, and I don't really want any safety cars because it's going to slow things down. But what does this do for the strategy there? Because some people say 2-stop, some people say 1-stop. People like me who struggle on tyre wear go to a 2-stop strategy. And I know the 1-stop is quicker. It's all about managing tyres as we get almost into a collision there between Mel's, Marcus and Fireblades. Bear in mind, Fireblades and Mel's are in a party together, so maybe they'll be working to plot against Happy Meal and try and get the victory away from him. But now the safety car's out, I dare say people will pit. I think it's a no-brainer. You've got to pit, haven't you, Milan?
Yeah, we're 7 laps into this race. Of course, it's going to be a long way on the hards, but when you pit right now, or when you don't pit right now, everyone else around you does, then you're going to lose a whole pit stop, and you're not going to gain that with the safety car reset because those mediums are already quite worn out, so you won't have the advantage immediately to restart. So you will be with the pack and then have to make another pit stop, and you're not going to gain an entire pit stop in what would be like 15 laps. So I think everyone is going to pull to the pit lane. There we go, Happy Meal, Fireblaze, and Mels and Sheepy Gamer, everyone is going to do the exact same thing, which is going to make the strategy a little less interesting, I must say. But even Geitekas into the pit lane, which is quite interesting because he is not going to make it to the end on the medium. So I think he might have to do a 2-stop in this race. So that is that's hurting his chance of getting a good result for sure. As they get back out into the pit lane, all onto a brand new set of hard Happy Meal, still in front ahead of Fireblaze. And Mels and Geitekas there going onto those mediums. So he lost the advantage at the safety car restart, but then 20 laps, well, not possible on those mediums. Or unless he has to do some insane tire management, that won't be any quick either. So, well, it's going to be a bit of a predicament there for Geitekas to get this strategy working, but we'll see later on in this race. And he's not the only one to go into the mediums, as Rikaju, also one of the hard starters, has to go to the mediums as well. And Mominik just made another pit stop. Didn't even go to the hards, not sure why. But he did go to a brand new set of mediums. So a few drivers still have to make one more pit stop later on in this race due to the safety car, which I saw what happened, by the way, between Luke in the McLaren and Rikaju in the Aston Martin. They were going side by side down the start to finish straight, and as they went towards turn 1, it was Luke who had a big lag spike, teleported back a little bit, so Rikaju turned into the corner. And Luke got ghosted, but I think on Luke's screen he might not have been ghosted because he just veered right into the outside wall, seemingly that there was contact between the two, but obviously not for the Aston Martin because he thought the McLaren driver was ghosted. But a bit of an interesting, bit of a strange moment between those two. I don't think anyone is particularly at fault there, but unfortunate for the McLaren. But that is why we have a safety car on lap 8. So 20 laps to go after this one, and everyone is now on the same strategy apart from Geitekas and those two at the back of the field.
When you say Luke, do you mean the McLaren driver in P12? Is he called Luke? Oh, sorry. I was getting so
Sim
confused.
Racing Luke is what I am. Yeah.
My apologies, because I was so confused when he said Luke. I was like, Luke? I was looking down the screen to see if there's a Luke in there. I was like, I don't know. Yeah, I was so confused, but now I know who it is. I've been calling him Damon in P12. I didn't know his real name was Luke, so my apologies there. So at least we've got the PC player out. There's one more to go, which is Daniela in P6. But it's a shame there for the McLaren driver, and Geitekas as well. A shame because, like you said, he's in a bit of a predicament. And I dare say he has to definitely stop. No matter how good his tyre wear is, he definitely has to stop again because those medium powered tyres will not make the distance, and have to pay the price by doing a 2-stop strategy. And obviously, you can't predict. It's an out of control factor. It's something out of control. You cannot predict when a safety car comes out. Obviously, you think in your mind that there's a chance that the safety car comes out. It's in your simulation. It's in your head. You know, or you think a safety car will come out, but you don't know when. It could go in your favour. It wouldn't. It can't. But unfortunately, the pendulum has swung the other way. Those people on the hardcore powered tyres can go towards the end, but they've got to nurse their tyres, babysit them. And I know for sure that Geitekas will definitely not make those tyres go towards the end because he's a pad player. and pad player takes a lot of punishment as well on this game. With the new updates, I still think that is the same aspect, so I'm not quite sure if they've changed it or not. But yeah, Milan, it's interesting as well with the 26 game, because is it now a 25 progression into towards 26? If that makes sense.
Yeah, I heard the news about that. I think it's a strange decision because it's a new regulation, so all the cars will be different. Then again, you can have it on the same game, so I'm not sure why they made that decision. Well, maybe it is going to have a positive outcome on the number of players, but I'm not sure what to think of that. To be honest, I guess we'll have to see when they do come with that paid DLC or update or what you can call it. But yeah, it's a bit strange for me because usually when you have the new regulations, you expect a new game. Of course, we've expected a new game every single year since they started making these games with Codemasters. But it's a bit of a strange year to make that decision. I would well expect it, or let's say expect it, but I would accept it if it was on a game where the regulations didn't change. But now there's such a significant change in the regulations, and you're going to make not a new game out of it. So interesting decision, but looks like we've got a safety car reached in our hands, so let's focus on that for now here at the end of lap 9 with Happy Meal in the lead, and he's going to lead us away to green flag racing again.
Yeah, I do concur with you, Milan. I agree as well. But massive bills for Fireblades there as well. And Happy Meal pulled the trigger at the right time because the final corner, obviously a heavy traction zone. We're going to stamp on the throttle as quickly as you can without losing traction. And in the background, that's Hazagas taking advantage of the Haas as we head down in towards turn 1. They go side by side. Contact. And look at that. There's a Rebel and Leonard as well in the way as those two try to go through turn 2 side by side. But Leonard there getting caught up in the mix. And I think he made a mistake through turn 2 and just stayed ahead for the time being. I think it compromised Khatekas, but for Daniela in P6, it really helped him. He's in a Red Bull sandwich for the time being. But Khatekas has got to make the use. He's got to capitalise on those medium compound tyres. He goes off the track there as he managed to get on back on it with no further issues as well. Carried a bit too much speed in the first deck. The first deck that catches a lot of people out as well. Such a quick, incisive, demanding corner. Got to be precise, carry the speed all the way through. But massive wheel spin again for Khatekas. You feel that the strategy is not going to help him at all in this race. The thing he needs right now, or maybe about 4 or 5 laps later, is a safety car. Whilst his teammate Leonard goes off the track in the spoon curve, and now Daniela is right at the back of the gearbox of the Honda as we head down in towards 130. Here we go. Leonard is outside the DRS range like he was in the first stint. Sheepy Gamer is able to stick in the DRS range. Here comes the Red Bull. Is he daring to go down the inside? But no, the Haas. Oh, almost out of control there. Double locks up his brakes and Leonard gets a 3-second penalty for his misery. And now here comes Khatekas out of the Casio triangle chicane we go. Use the battery side by side with the Haas once again. This time has the inside line in towards turn 1. Is this a slick move? Bit of contact. He barges Daniel out of the way. Khatekas go. Well, once again, I'm struggling to say his name. That's because I'm ill, so I can't really get the Dutch pronunciation right. So my bad, Jens. I apologise for that one. But the Red Bull driver now is up into P6. Next target is his teammates. What's going to happen here? Is Leonard going to his teammate? Sorry about that. I am really struggling to talk, by the way.
No worries, mate. He's going off again. Khatekas. That's the second lap in a row that the Red Bull went off there through the first deck. We saw his teammate go off earlier in the second deck, so it looks like both Red Bulls are really struggling. But as I say that, Leonard has fully closed the gap towards the top 4, and Khatekas is even more struggling now as he goes to the hairpin as well. The gap is 1.8 seconds towards his teammate, and this is the last thing he needed on a brand new set of mediums, as he wants to get as many positions as he can right now because he has to make another pit stop. But at the moment, he is running more off the track than on it, so he has to get back into a rhythm and then try and chase after his teammate, who's now 1.6 seconds up the road, while still having the pressure of Daniele right behind, who's got a ERS advantage, so might be having a go at the Red Bull in towards turn 1 as they come out of the final chicane. And turn 1 is quite tricky to go side by side through. We've seen it a couple of times in this race so far, where it didn't exactly go planned. There was contact between two drivers, with Khatekas getting a better exit out of the final chicane, so he should be able to maintain his position as Leonard is closing the gap as well towards Sheepy Gamer, but not quite close enough to make that move in towards turn 1. And the Williams is on the verge of dropping outside DRS range as well. Gap around 9/10 of a second, almost a second, but now trying to get back within that DRS range, as Mel's Mac is getting close to the back of Fireblaze as well for second place, whilst Happy Meal remains in the lead of the race by 7.5 tenths of a second. Fireblaze still doing enough of staying within DRS range. Let's see if the Red Bulls take these corners right this time. Yeah, and Gaitegas has kept it on track, so a huge improvement there for the Red Bull as he tries to close the gap towards his teammate Leonard, who is chasing after the Williams.
It must be so frustrated there for Leonard in P3 to be stuck behind Fireblaze, while Sheepy Gamer under pressure once again from the Red Bull and Leonard, who struggled earlier on by going for a spoon curve. This time it's on DRS range. Here it is, down the inside. I thought for 1 second he would make an overtake on the Williams because I was on Bob and Mel's back, and in the background it looked like Leonard was closer than he was, but he had to back out for the time being. Couldn't make the move and stays in P5 for the time being. Sheepy Gamer, though, unfortunately, the train ahead of him is too hard to catch, and he's not able to stay on board with it either. He's quite low on ERS as well for good measure as we head down towards the Castro Triangle chicane again, and let's see if there's any changes in the field. DRS enabled, but of course, there was 3 races left in real life: Vegas, Qatar, and Abu Dhabi. And no DRS will be happening next year as well. So for the first time since 2010, there'll be no DRS on the cars. Now, Bella, what's your opinion on that? Do you think the race will be better with no DRS? Nick goes side by side with Ricky, so sorry to cut you short there once again. Destamar gets ahead. But do you think the race will improve without the DRS?
Well, it all depends, of course, on the new regulations cars. If they make the racing better in other factors of the new car, then it could be better, but I'm not really sure why they would remove it unless they found a significant advantage in some other areas of the new 2026 regulations cars when Nick is going across the curb there. But I hope they have found a better way to make racing better, because if it stays like this, but then without DRS, then we're not going to get much action on track, and that's of course the last thing you want as a Formula 1 fan. So I think DRS at the moment it's a good addition because it helps in some way, but the dirty air is at the moment the main problem. So I hope they fix that then for the new regulation, but we're not going to see that until we get to the testing at the end of the season in a few months' time. So I guess then we will see some sort of image. So I hope that they have improved this. Mominek is once again fighting it out with Rekachu. Was going side by side towards turn 1, and he went onto the grass to try and get past, and then couldn't turn in as he gets very close to the back as well as we go in towards the final chicane. But now with a better exit, he should be able to get the move done. But it looks like Aston Martin gets a much better exit than the Kick Sauber, as there's a change there. As Sheepy Gamer and Leonard fighting it out, the Williams defending successfully against the Red Bull, as the gap is now 2.3 seconds between Mels and Sheepy Gamer. So the Williams has fully dropped out of that DRS range and is back to a 3-way fight at the front for the race win, whilst the Williams of Sheepy Gamer is under massive pressure from both Red Bulls now, as Gaitegas has finally closed the gap towards his teammate. It took him a good 6 laps to get back within DRS range, but here he is. So I wonder if these 2 Red Bull teammates are going to fight each other, or if they're going to work together to try and get past the Williams. So look how close he is to the back of the Williams. I thought he was going to go to the inside and towards the hairpin, as he hits the inside curb there, unsettling the rear end, and the Williams still remaining just in front. But now Leonard is very close and in the slipstream of the Williams, but he's not quite going to go for the move into spoon, is he? So you don't really want to go side by side through such a high-speed corner, but now he might be lining up a move, potentially down this straight or the start-finish straight to get past Sheepy Gamer just up ahead. But I think he's going to try and stay behind right now, because if he does get ahead right now, then Sheepy Gamer could go for the counter attack. But here's a Gaitegas going through, getting past both of them. What a move there from Gaitegas, double overtake, and that sure has caught Sheepy Gamer off guard. But now he will have to DRS. He gets contact there from behind as Leonard slamming into the back there of the Williams. But now as you come out of the final chicane, it's going to be the Williams of Sheepy Gamer with the DRS. Gaitegas going to try and break the slipstream. But here comes the Williams. He's going to try and go the inside or the outside in towards turn 1. He's going to try and send one to the inside in towards turn 1. They're side by side. Gaitegas getting fully forced off track there and losing not 1, not 2, but 3 positions there and down to P7. As it's getting very feisty in this fight here for P4, and it's Sheepy Gamer who remains out on top in this fight.
Meanwhile, I saw the gap go up to a second as Fireblaze is desperate to get in the DRS range of Happy Meal, but Happy Meal's got the pace, but unfortunately can't break through, can't break away from Fireblaze's curses DRS there in P2. Miles Mack is desperate too for Fireblaze to break the DRS so he can get past him and potentially try and catch Happy Meal as well. So everything's going on so far in this dramatic race, as Leonard for 1 second hits the back of the Williams once again, as he gets away with it for the second time in a row, because that's twice he's hit him now in towards the hairpin, and somehow got over it. There's been no internal damage on the Red Bull car there, but had to gas Paul Jens as he tried to go for the overtake, but couldn't do so. You can see the grading too on the Red Bull's tyres there. The medium compound tyres started to rip the shreds now of the cocks of the tyre, and a pit stop will be imminent soon too for the Red Bull driver. Here comes Leonard once again, side by side in towards 130. Is it going to be Max Fernando Alonso Schumacher type shit style as we head down towards the chicane? We go 2 by 2 in towards the chicane. The Williams up the inside, and here comes Leonard back around the outside. That's a lovely move there from the Red Bull driver, but who gets the DRS? Let's see then which driver gets the DRS. It is the Williams, as we've got the Haas and the Red Bull 2 all in a big battle for 4th place. Here comes the Williams, here comes the Haas up the inside in towards turn 1, and there is nothing Leonard can do about that one, as he has to stay in P6 for the time being. Then got swamped, made a lovely move, but unfortunately got swamped by the guy behind, and now down into P6. I'm still surprised that Hazakas is still catching up. Sorry, the reason why I'm talking like this because my throat is literally about to go, so let me just clear my throat while you take over, my lad.
And these Red Bull drivers must be getting so frustrated with this fight, as they're P6 and P7 right now on the road, whilst they should be in a P4, P5 position, but now they've lost the position to the Haas. Both of them have lost the position to the Haas of Daniele, and still Sheepy Gamer remains there in 4th place somehow with this defensive drive, and he's got a full battery to work with as well. So he's doing an incredible job, although sometimes might be a bit sketchy with his defensive moves, but at the moment he's doing enough to remain ahead, as Leonard picks up another second time penalty there. That's 6 seconds for the Red Bull driver as he ran out wide through a spoon curve, and looks like Gaitegas, his mediums, they have seen better days, and he's dropping behind as well. 7/10 towards his teammate, as Daniele might be lining up a move then towards Sheepy Gamer, or is Leonard lining up a move to the Haas drive as he goes a little bit deep there into the chicane, almost running into the back of the Haas and losing out on exit as well. Now Daniele is going to try and close that gap, but the gap's around 4 or 5/10 of a second, so it's going to be difficult to go for the move as he makes his way down the start finish straight, and he's not quite close enough to make that move. And Sheepy Gamer has survived for yet another lap there in P4. The gap's almost 8 seconds towards the top 3 due to all the fighting they've done. Speaking of fighting, that's Rick at you and Mominik fighting it out still there for P8 and P9. The Aston Martin this time ahead of the Mercedes, ahead of the Kicksauber, and the Mercedes and the Haas joining in there as well on P10 and P11. But the fight for P4 is far from over. Lap 17 of 27, still got 10 laps to go. After this one, Gaitegas, I think, will be coming to the pit lane in a few laps time, so he will be eliminated from this fight, but it's still a 3-fight. Leonard's going to go to the inside there, sideways in towards the hairpin, still sliding, drifting his way through, and there's so much better action. Into the wall goes the Red Bull driver. You could have seen that coming as he was sideways on exit, tried to correct himself in towards the Haas and straight into the outside wall. Damage for Leonard, and Red Bull's race has completely unraveled, and it looks like they are both going to be stuck to this P6 and P7 position, it seems.
Yeah, he's not Kuru Kobayashi, unfortunately. Couldn't play the move, couldn't make it stick, and yeah, lost his end plate for good measure. He's been a bit too aggressive there. It's landed like really getting his elbows up. He's the Red Bull driver, but unfortunately just couldn't seem to get past him. I think, yeah, just wasn't really thinking rationally, was he? Just not using his head, not being strategic about it, just going for every single lunge he possibly can. And that could be a safety car. I'm surprised. It is a safety car, or VSC. Is that a VSC? Yeah, VSC, it says on the black box. So Hategas, well, I bet he was licking his lips when he saw his teammate crash. But unfortunately for him, it's a VSC and not a full-blown safety car. So it's medium, hard, medium for Hategas as he rejoins the P9. Not bad, you know, because there is a train in front of him which consists of TVH&L, Mummy Nick, and Reiki Yu, all, well, two of them on all BD compound tyres. We expect them to pit, if not die towards the end, and TVH&L in P8 on the hard compound tyres. So Hategas could still get P6. I dare say Sheepy Gamer is out of the equation. 11 seconds is a big deficit to make up as well. So the VSC has been deployed once again, and we go racing again then, as the main battle is focused between first and second place. Ever since the early stage of this race, we haven't seen many swapping places between Fireblades and Happy Meal. It's been rather stationary so far in this race, very stale so far. But that's all down to tactical games and strategic battles. We know that Fireblades, though, has been struggling to stay with the DRS race, so not able to fight with Happy Meal on a pure pace. But when it comes towards the last stages, does Fireblaze have the tools in his disposal to get past Happy Meal and fight for the win? That's the big problem, because keeping up is a big problem. What about overtaking him as well? Look at this, Miles Makis is right behind. Happy Meal made a big mistake in towards the final couple of corners, and he's built up a gap of 0.6 of a second. I meant Fireblaze, by the way, but he stays in his DRS range.
Yeah, I really wonder if Fireblaze is going to be able to make that move, because at the moment he is, like you said, struggling to stay close, although on this lap he is very close to the back as the Williams and the Haas drivers swap positions once more. But I haven't really seen a real attempt from Fireblaze yet in this race, so at the moment it's looking like he is just going to follow the Mercedes all the way through to the end. But at the moment they have closed into each other a little bit there as well, with Miles Makis close to the Ferrari as Aston Martin and Mercedes both in the pit lane, as Miles Makis a little bit wide there through the first deck there, but Happy Meal seems like he is dropping off a little bit towards the Ferrari. The gap's now 0.5 of a second, and the gap is smaller than it used to be for the majority of this race. So who has managed their tires the best? That's the real question here for these final 8 laps. But yeah, getting close is one thing, but getting past is another one, because you really need to be within 4 or 0.5 of a second coming out of the chicane. Well, preferably 3/4 of a second to have a real opportunity. But at the moment, Fireblaze, every time he gets out of the final chicane, he is around 6-7 away from the Mercedes, which is just not enough to make that move. So he needs to find a way to get closer to the Mercedes to have a real opportunity to find a way past in these final 8 laps of this race. So we go then on to lap 20, and once again the gap's around 5-6 of a second towards Happy Meal, and it's Miles into the pit lane. Miles Makis into the pit lane from P3 of this race. So he must be thinking that he can't make it to the end on these hards, and he is going to go for a 2-stop, which really surprised me, because I thought all these guys would be able to go to the end on the hards, but apparently not, as he fits a brand new set of hard tires. So then I'm wondering if these guys at the front are going to run into some tire issues at the end of the race.
I expected the medium runners to pit, but not the hard runners. I thought it was a plain sailing, but I dare say the hardcore power tires could have made it to the end. It's doable, especially for the wheel users, not the pad users. Oh, Miles Makis almost dropped it. The tires are cold. He's barely got any grip so far. Don't want to overdo it immediately on those hardcore power tires. Just want to gel them in, bring them in very nicely, and don't overdo it. So what does this mean for the top 2? Are they going to have to pit? Do they feel like the tyres will start to drop off? Do they feel like the hardcore power tyres may be reaching towards push territory? Because don't forget, it was very early when they first pitted, around lap 7, with a few safety car laps in the window too. So, interesting times here. And let's see if Miles Makis' strategy has paid off dividends, or did he just spook? Did he get too spooked by the tyre wear? Did he think that the tyres wouldn't make it towards the end, whilst the top 2 can easily make it towards the end of the Grand Prix? So we had a 3-way fight. Now it's a 2-way fight. It's Fireblaze versus Happy Meal. 2 Dutchmans going for the crown. And which Dutchman would it be? Miles Makis is making mistakes. So despite being on new tyres, he starts to make mistakes, which is very odd indeed. But when you follow in that DRS trade, you kind of get adjusted and gelled with the driver style you have behind. I'm not quite sure how to describe it. When you have references in front of you, he may be running no assist, and ever since he got Fireblaze and Happy Meal, but now he's alone, he keeps making mistakes because he doesn't really have those 2 as a reference guide to try and help him. So I don't know if you know what I'm talking about here, Milan, but when you have somebody in front of you, and if you're running no assist, you can use them as a guide and a reference, but when you're alone, you have to make your own references up and therefore make mistakes as well. So maybe we should get fine-tuned towards the track and being by himself.
Yeah, exactly. It's way easier to follow a car than to drive in clean air yourself. So like you said, you have to make up your own lines, your own braking points, and your own references. So that might be a reason why he is struggling at the moment. But it looks like cold tires could also be a factor, because he was just on his out lap there. It looks like he is going quite cleanly on this lap so far. Just it takes a couple of laps to get back into the rhythm after making that pit stop. Speaking of pit stops, GP Gamer just made another pit stop as well to go on to the medium. So dropping outside the chance of podium position. But he goes on to a set of mediums with Miles on to a set of hards. So he must have picked the harder tire allocation for the Williams at the the balanced tire allocation. But at the front, Happy Meal and Fireblaze still staying out, and I do wonder if you only have 6 laps to go, should you really pit? I think they are both gonna aim for staying out until the end, because it's too late to pit right now. If they wanted to pit, then they would have done it 1 or 2 laps ago when Mels Mackes did it. But I think now they're committed to making it to the end, because there's only 6 laps to go, as Fireblaze still within that DRS range, but still not close enough to go for a real opportunity to overtake. Daniele is also staying out on those hards, although that front right not really looking well there underneath the Haas. But he is going to have to nurse these tires home if he wants to stay in P3. Speaking of, Geitekaas in P4 at the moment. He is 8 seconds behind, but he's got a 10 lap tire advantage. He's on the mediums as well. Of course, these tires are going to fall off in a couple of laps time as well, but could he close the gap towards Daniele, especially when those hards really fall off the cliff? So Geitekaas might still have an outside chance of getting on the podium, but what he does need to do is this right here, as he slides his way there, coming out of the corner, which losing him a couple of tenths of a second once again. But we've got 5 laps to go after this one. Are the top 3 going to be able to make it to the end on the hard? So are we going to see some late final lap drama with potential punctures?
Really interesting aspect, because Daniel is on the podium for the first time since the Austrian sprint race last season, and if you remember in the feature race too, when he spun out in the first couple of corners, whilst him and Eastbound had a blast in the Haas in the Austrian Grand Prix with some good results. He's on the podium right now, but Geitekaas is bringing down the gap at a rapid rate of knots, and so is Mels Mackes too. So Daniela is going to feel the pressure from the Racing Bull and the Red Bull too. Both racing and Red Bull are hunting him down the Haas. Can Daniel get his first podium? Is this Fireblaze looking for a move? No, it's not. He stays in P2, but he seems a bit more comfortable now, Fireblaze, because it looked like he was just hanging off the back of Mel's Happy Meal every single time. It looked like Happy Meal just had the advantage in the final sector and was able to bridge a gap big enough between himself and Fireblaze, so Fireblaze couldn't make a move. Happy Meal, if he can, because he knows that Fireblaze is going to go for this on lap 26 in towards 27, so Happy Meal, what he needs to do is do what he's done throughout the whole race. Bring that gap towards 6, 7, 8 tenths, maybe 5 tenths if that's enough, and hope that Fireblaze to get close enough down towards turn 1. It just needs to try and build that gap just over 5 tenths and make no mistakes. Happy Meal has driven a solid race so far, a fine race, a calm head on his young shoulders, and hopefully Happy Meal can bring this home, because last time he had a chance to win the Grand Prix was back at the Dutch GP at his home Grand Prix. He was fighting against Kick and Lucas, but unfortunately he dropped it, and that was probably the last time he had a chance to win a race. He's been close, but yet too far. But on this occasion, he's been hunted down by Fireblaze, and Fireblaze, we know, he's a champion here in SDN. He's a very quick league racer. Of course, me and Milan have raced against him. He's a very good driver indeed. His Fireblaze has his moments, but most of the time he is up there, and he is a force to be reckoned with every single time too. Fireblaze, though, using the battery down the straight, no ways to go for this in towards turn 1. He is down the inside in towards turn 1. Contact between turn 1 and turn 2, the side by side, more contact, and Fireblaze goes through. That was quite unexpected there. I didn't see that one coming. I thought Fireblaze was going to hang back and wait for it, but no. Fireblaze has decided to go up into first place, and now he's going to be the one deciding. Well, he's going to be the one hunted down by Happy Meal. He's giving the place back. He's giving the place back, and I'm not quite sure that's a good thing to do. I think he slowed down a bit too much there. I think, can Happy Meal try and break this gap? Wow, this is turning his heads a lot.
Yeah, I think that's a good decision from Fireblaze in the sense that it's a fair decision, because that move in turn 1 was a bit controversial, especially in turn 2 when he hit the back there of Happy Meal, who on the end was turning into that corner. But
hello? Milan, you there?
Yeah, sorry, my headset disconnected for some reason. That was very annoying. No, that was me. But what I was saying, that contact at turn 2 was quite unfortunate, and I think it's a good decision for him to give the position back, but then there's only 3 laps to go, and is he going to be able to make that move again? Because that might have been his only real opportunity he had in the entirety of this race. But at the same time, when you look at Happy Meal's tires, visually they look a lot worse than the Fireblaze's tires, especially at the front right. A lot of graining on the rear tires as well. So I think Fireblaze should have the tire advantage for these final 2 laps, or final 3 laps. So he might still have a go in this race, but it's going to be close, because that might have been a real opportunity, might have been his only shot at victory this race, but who knows what can happen in these final 3 laps.
Indeed, it's going to be a classic one down in the final few laps of the Grand Prix. I thought Fireblaze made a big mistake on the last lap because it looked like he slowed down a bit too much, and therefore Happy Meal could have broken the DRS. It looked like Fireblaze just stopped for a second there. I thought he was about to give up for some reason. I don't know why, he just slowed down a lot. But but Fireblaze then, back on the charge. His tyres don't look pretty, do they? But look at Happy Meal's tyres, like you said, ripped to shreds as well on that Mercedes. But there's a lot of pressure to come, and we saw it down towards turn 1 and turn 2. That's take 1. What we're about to see so far. Happy Meal there taking a lot of curve as well on the outside in towards Spoon Curve. Very, very lucky indeed not to pick up maybe a Chadwick warning for that one indeed. But is Happy Meal going to be exposed towards the end of this race? His tyres do not look pretty. And keep an eye on the battle for P3 because Gas is 5 seconds behind Daniela. That's a lot of time gained in the space of a few laps. And Mels Makis is right behind Gas 2 for good measure. Okay, so we exited the final 2 corners of this racetrack. DRS enabled once again. It's lap 26 out on 27. Happy Meal's moving left and right, but I think Fireblaze, can he overtake him on the final lap of the Grand Prix? He set himself up, but does he have another battery in attack mode to overtake Happy Meal? Does Happy Meal have enough battery in defence to keep him at bay to get his first win of the season? Here comes Mels Makis. He's hunted down Daniela for P3. Much better tyres, but the gap's 4 seconds. I don't think he can gain 4 seconds in one lap unless something dramatic happens. Look at the state of his tyres as well. Daniela in the Haas P3 really struggling, but the gap is about 3.8 seconds. Can he get his first podium since the sprint? Oh, he almost lost the car. So close to lose the back of the car and look at his podium go. Come on, Daniela, it's only one more lap and there's 3 seconds to go. I really hope that the gap's going down at a rate of knots. There he is in the background. There's Gas. Big mistake there for Daniela. Yeah, I coughed there, so thanks my line for spotting that. I was going to cough. I don't know how you could tell. I just moved to my mic as well to go cough in the background. But now eyes all focused to this battle. ERS being saved, but there's no ERS left for Happy Meal. I thought he was saving, but he hasn't got any ERS left. So very important now in the final 2 corners on the last lap to get a good exit out of here. The gap is about 0.5 of a second. Is that enough? As now the DRS is being enabled, as all the batteries being used on the straight. Here comes Fireblaze on the inside, in towards turn 1. He takes the lead, but no, Happy Meal stays around the outside, side by side again. Bit of contact made between the two, but Fireblaze takes the lead of the Grand Prix. What a spectacular move from the Ferrari driver. Happy Meal trying to fight back, trying to change different lines, trying to look to go around the outside in towards the S section, but he can't do it. Fireblaze, what a move. Now, Mels Makis, the gap is 1.7 seconds. Daniela, it's the last lap of the Grand Prix. Can he hang on to that P3 here? But Happy Meal's made a mistake, he's made a mistake, but keeps it on the circuit. That's very lucky not to get dragged off the track there and stuck in the gravels. But the gap is 1.3 now between Mels Makis and Daniela. What a fight going in towards turn 1. Fireblaze, the ever so late aggressive moving towards turn 1, but Happy Meal tried to defend, tried to stick him on the outside. More contact was made, as you expect, between the two. Hard but fair racing. I don't think Fireblaze did anything wrong, as Happy Meal there clatters the curb a lot, as he takes a lot of grass on the inside too for good measure. But the battle's over yet because Happy Meal could still get Fireblaze. Maybe not, it's a bit too far back, but Mels Makis is still hunting down Daniela for P3. So let's see if the Racing Bull driver gets him going in towards the 130R and the Castle Tracker chicane. Fireblaze, what a beautiful driven race from the Dutchman as he makes his way now towards the final 2 corners. And for the first time in a few races, for the first time this season, Fireblaze wins in the land of the rising sun. He wins the Japanese Grand Prix. Second place, Happy once again. Look at this, Mels Makis goes off the track there, gets a 3-second penalty, and Daniela will get a penalty, will get a podium as he crosses the line to finish in P3. Gas will finish in P4. Miles Mack is 1 lap too late and finishes in 5th place. Shiba Gamer is 6th, ahead of Mummy Nick, whilst Reiki Yu rounds off in 8th place. Colin in P9, ahead of TVHNL. What a race, what a controlled, disciplined race for Fireblaze. He did a sensational job to claim the victory, Milan.
Yeah, what a final lap that was. The most exciting lap of this race for sure. Fireblaze with a lovely move in turn 1. Bit contact between the two again, but I think it was fair between these two, as they left each other just enough space. But well done to Fireblaze with a great move on the final lap where it matters most, and stealing away the win there from Happy Meal, who held on very long in this race, but not quite long enough to bring home that victory, but still a very good podium for the Mercedes driver. And Daniele, well done to him as well, holding on to that third place. It was quite an interesting moment going into the final chicane between himself and Miles Mack, who went off track, cut the chicane, then on the exit lost it and crashed into the pit wall, and had to reverse back on track, and in the end finishes in P6 rather than what could have been a P3 position, or P4 at least, but he's going to have to settle for P6 with Heitinga stealing away 4th place and the fast lap. But a great race in the end, great fighting out in front, and it's Fireblaze who's victorious, which is always a great thing to see. So congratulations to him, and a very, very strong drive from the driver for sure.
I thought Fireblaze was good. I thought Happy Meal was going to have that one because his pace looked mighty, but it seems like the tyres just faded away too much towards the end of the race. He just couldn't hold on. And unfortunately for Christian, aka Happy Meal, who is a sad meal, unfortunately, he's done a really good job. He has to wait again for another win. Does Happy Meal in P2 has to wait for another win, and it's just a shame, really. He will get the win one day. It's not too late, and he's definitely got the pace to do so. Maybe his ERS management, which was a major issue, unfortunately for him, and that's the reason why that cost him dearly as well. But I thought for 1 second that Fireblaze, his manoeuvre going in towards turn 7, the Dunlop per corner, the left-hander, I thought he slowed down a bit too much, and that would have cost him the race win as well, because I thought he was out of DRS range, but somehow managed to stick within it. Fireblaze, majority of this race was just fighting on to stay within DRS range, just hanging on for dear life. Then all of a sudden, all the pieces came together, and he was the one attacking twice as well down towards turn 1 with some late aggressive moves, and he made it stick. There was a bit of marginal contact, but rubbing is racing, as they say. But luckily, both made out unscathed, and Fireblaze went to take the win as well. Not many races left. The next one is in Las Vegas in USA next week, and the last one Abu Dhabi as well. So there's 2 more races left to go, and it's been such a long season, Milan. It's been so long that this season started in summer, and we're now in towards the winter.
Yeah, it's crazy. It doesn't feel like it has taken that long, but when you put it into perspective, yeah, the first round was in June, at the end of June, and it's going to end halfway through December. So, yeah, very long season. When we speak of how many months, of course, 15 rounds in the end, not really unusual for a league to have that many races. But yeah, with all those break weeks, it has felt like a really long season, and I really can't remember what even happened at Melbourne all those months ago. But yeah, only 2 races remaining, with Las Vegas up next in I think 2 weeks time again. So we might have another break week next week. So looking forward to these final 2 races. Of course, Kevin will certainly win the championship, but looking forward to those final 2 races, Las Vegas and Yasmin. Las Vegas, of course, we have this weekend as well in real life Formula 1, although quite early on 5 AM or 4 AM in the UK on Saturday and Sunday, so I'm not sure if you're going to watch that, but this for sure has been an entertaining race, and I'm looking forward to what we're going to see on track for the final 2 races of this season.
And also Milan as well. It's been like a while since me and you been together on the commentary box, and yeah, my love for commentary is still there, but due to being ill, I haven't commentated for a long time, since 2 weeks ago, and I just like the motivation comes. But now the love has been reunited. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm glad to be back in commentary box. I've missed you, mate. I really missed you in the comments box.
Yeah, same. It really has been a while. It's been a couple weeks, but yeah, it felt like a long time since we've last chat in the commentary box together. But like you said, it's great to be back, and I'm looking forward to many races more to come. And of course, even though you're ill, you're still putting in a great performance. So I'm still looking forward to commentate with you every single time. So it's good fun always.
Yeah, it was hard to talk, especially with those battles. But yeah, I appreciate it, mate. We pushed through. And next race is in Las Vegas next week on Friday at 6:30, 7:30 Dutch time. And we'll see you all later. Goodbye for now. Enjoy the Las Vegas Grand Prix this weekend. I don't actually know who's going to win the race, to be honest with you. I don't think it's Piastri, but it could be Verstappen, Norris, Russell. We'll see who wins, but we'll see you all later. Goodbye for now.